Hey, howdy ho, how's it going? We are now filming. We're getting into the real thick of it. With this video, I'm going to talk about merchandise and how awesome merchandise is at Disney, and also a brief description of how to go from college program to part-time. Okay, so real quick before I jump into merchandise, so I finished my college program January 3rd, 2015, and I was like, where do I go from here? So I had put in I think it's a month before your program ends, so like early December, I put in for part-time and full-time, but I knew there was no way I was going to get full-time. And the way it works is you put in 2 different roles. I put in merchandise and attractions, and for each of those roles you get to choose 5 locations, and they do have a list of each location and what it is and stuff like that. So example, like Fantasyland Attractions, Adventureland, Theater District, which is what Great Movie Ride and Frozen is, stuff like that. And the same thing for merchandise. So what I did is I did that, and I can't even honestly remember off the top of my head what my locations were for merchandise. I knew they would most likely hire me for merchandise from what I had heard, just because merchandise, they can use you pretty much everywhere, which I'll get into in a second. And so I know I did Fantasyland, I think I did Frontierland and the Circus, and I can't remember if I put Main Street or not, and I think I put like Liberty Square as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. That was a long time ago, guys. But and I got accepted for Storybook Circus, which specifically would be Big Top Souvenirs. And I've never really liked the circus, just because I was very much a Toontown advocate. Still kind of don't like the circus, even though I used to work there for almost a year. But I mean, to each his own. It's very well themed, I'll give you that. So anyway, I was so excited because when I got the call a week after my program ended, mind you. I think it was almost exactly a week before my program, or after my program ended, because Jared and I were at the beach. And I got the call, and I was just so excited because, like, I didn't know what to do. I was unemployed, had, like, put down a deposit for an apartment with my friends Stephanie and Emily, and I was like, they had jobs because Emily had gotten seasonal and Stephanie got part-time, and I was like, I don't have a job. And so I got accepted, and I was just like, yes. And I remember that on the phone they told me exactly what I was going to be doing, but I was just like so excited. So anyway, long story short, I got put at Big Top Souvenirs, which is very much like the confectionery / emporium. That's pretty much what it is. It's a store that has a variety of all kinds of merchandise, and it also sells and makes treats, like candy apples and cake pops and stuff like that. So, yeah, there was that, and I'll get into that more in a second because I reorganized my notes here differently. Okay, so backing up to merchandise. Typically, you don't have one specific store you work in. The circus was a little different because they only had one store, but it was a very large store, so it worked for them. Most of the time, like, I picked up shifts at Main Street. Main Street, for example, is like, you can work at any of those stores down Main Street, but they split it into separate zones. So they have like one side, like side 1 and side 2, basically. So like on your shift, it'd be like Main Street side 1 or Main Street side 2, and whatever side you had, those are the stores you're working in, and you would rotate through them. And I kind of like how it's set up that way, so that way you're not like stuck in like one area for a long time. Like, I was very thankful that the circus store was so big because you had lots of different areas to work in and kind of move around. One thing that's really cool about merchandise, and I do encourage, I know merchandise is people are just like, oh, it's retail, I don't want to sell stuff. The cool thing about it though is each Disney store is themed and sells so many different kinds of things that, like, once you're trained in merchandise, depending on what kind of training you have, like if you have food safety or if you're trained to handle alcohol, you can pick up a shift in literally any area on Disney property. Like, I picked up shifts at Memento Mori, which is the Haunted Mansion store. I picked up shifts on Main Street a lot. I think I wanted to pick up a shift on Frontierland, but it just never happened. And I picked up a shift at Fantasyland, which is the most magical shift I'd ever worked. I literally pixie dusted princesses for the whole last hour of my shift. It was magical. So that's really cool though, because if you work at the resorts, you can pick up shifts in the parks and vice versa. And like every area, every park, every resort, their stores and just the feel of it is so completely different. Okay, so the circus. Like I said, the circus is similar to the confectionery and the emporium. And one thing that I didn't really know or realize when I put down circus as one of my locations is that you were going to have to handle food. I had to handle food and outdoor foods, and I hated it just because there's like a million safety rules on how to clean things and stuff like that. And honestly, if I had realized that, I would not have put the circus down. But anyway, you learn how to make treats, which is, like I said, a bittersweet thing because you have all this food safety stuff. But on the other hand, I learned how to make candy apples. I learned how to make cake pops. What else did I learn? I learned how to make Mickey Crispy treats. I got to make the Halloween ones. I got to make the rainbow ones. I got to make the Christmas ones, the frozen little stars. I got to make the frozen cake pops. Cake pops were my favorite. There were so many different treats that I got to learn how to make, and then I got to see them be bought and eaten by guests, and like that was so satisfying to me. And I just thoroughly enjoyed that. In our kitchen was like, we had the onstage kitchen in the middle of the store, and then we had the backstage kitchen that we made cotton candy and other things like that, like strawberries, which that was a lot of fun. That's where I learned that chocolate strawberries are the best thing in the world. But anyway, and chocolate pineapples. If you've never had it, so good. Moving on. We had a stereo in our kitchen that we were allowed to keep up at a certain level so the guests couldn't hear it. So we had dance parties and all this other stuff, and it was a lot of fun. The only hard part was having to clean it all up, honestly. That was the only part I hated. All other stores, including the circus, have register shifts or floor stock shifts. So you had production, which was making treats, or you had register shift, which was working the register, or floor stock, which literally all you did is just keep the store stocked. Let me check to see if we're still filming, and we are. Okay, I really didn't, I'll get into this later, but so that you have that. So I'll go over really briefly what each one of those are. Register shifts, pretty much just like any other retail store. You ring people up, you swipe their cards, you count the cash out, you hit buttons for specific discounts like cast member discounts or military discounts or whatever. And then, oh, this is something I did forget to put in there. Well, I'll get to it in a second. And then you bag them and then you wish them goodbye. I liked talking to the guests about like how their day was going and suggesting different rides or different shows, just to give them a little more out of their experience. I know also like whenever you see the little blue ID, cast member ID, like, oh, where do you work magic? You know, oh, you work there, that's so cool, type of a thing. But one thing I forgot to put in here are candy registers, which is part of the register rotation. The only thing that's different for a confectionery type store, and this is specifically to a confectionery type store, I don't think this is for any other store in general. I don't know exactly. But pretty much anything you have to understand the Disney dining plan. The snack portion anyway, which is basically anything more or less $5 and under is a snack. So that could be water, cake pop, bag of chips, bag of candy. And if they're on the Disney dining plan and they have a certain amount of snacks, you have to know how many is which ones and which ones are not included snacks. And then you have to make a separate transaction for it. And you just need to, it sounds confusing, but you need to know how that all works. They will teach you that, don't worry about it. I don't know if that's something that's for all registers that sell like bagged food. It might be, don't quote me on that. I've never had to, I'm trying to think. The other stores that I worked at on Main Street and even Fantasyland didn't sell any kind of food. It was just toys and things, so I don't think so. Okay, yeah. Also, I have this thing down here. This is something that I took to heart. Learning how to use the Disney Shop app. They actually came out with that app while I was working in merchandise. So that was something cool that I kind of got to learn about before everybody else. I got to learn under the wraps, like we weren't allowed to talk about it at the time. Learning how to use the Disney Shop app. and window shopping on that, and also just window shopping around the parks, just walking around to different stores, and knowing who sells what and where to get this and where to get that, is something that will really, really help the guests. And if you can help the guests shop, it then helps you not look like an idiot. You don't know what you're doing. I know I love window shopping, so that's something that I loved to do. I also liked looking at new merchandise, whether it was on my floor stock shifts. Oh, I didn't go into that. I kind of skipped that, didn't I? Okay, I'll go back to that in a second. Or I'll talk about that anyway. So like that was something that I really like to do, is just knowing, because you do have a like product location system that shows you where everything is, but it's not always the easiest or the most accurately updated. Same with the shop app. The shop app is better updated from what I've been told. And you can always go back to that, but sometimes you don't have a moment. So if someone comes up to you in like the circus and it's like, where can I find this limited edition pin? Well, even though they sell pins in the circus, they don't sell limited edition pins in the circus. They sell them at the pin trading shop, which is in Frontierland. Or if they ask you, where can I find sunglasses? They sell those in Adventureland. So like it's good to know where things are and when they're sold, especially when like holidays come around, because they sell special holiday edition stuff in specific stores. And then floor stock, and I guess I'll bring this into pros and cons. We'll do pros and cons for floor stock. Floor stock was absolutely my favorite, and here's why. Because I learned that I like just like fixing things and putting things away. Not necessarily cleaning up people's mess, but like fixing the Mickey wall, or like fixing this display, or just filling this up. And it keeps you busy. Like you go out and you're like, okay, we just had a rush. People took all of the Mickeys. I need 16. So you go back, you get your little dolly, throw all the Mickeys in there. I loved messing with the plush, and then you take them over and you put them up, you know, and it just made the day go by very, very quickly. And then another pro is you typically end up spending half of your shift in the stock rooms, which means it's air conditioned, it's quiet, and you don't have to deal with the busyness of guests being around, which at that point in my Disney career I learned was a perk. And I absolutely loved it. There was also a part of floor stock, I think we called it prop hand. It's basically like the main leader of floor stock, which basically they give stuff to the floor stockers to go and put away. And that you spend the entire shift in the stock rooms because you're constantly getting things for people. And that I also liked because it was like very organized. You like organize, okay, this needs to go into this zone and this needs to go into this zone. So this is for this person. It was like shopping, basically. You're just not paying for it and they're gonna go put them away. So I actually really loved that. I remember working almost always floor stock every single time. And what was cool for us is we got to wear the same costume, whereas typically in other areas, floor stock's like an ugly gray color thing. It's like, oh my god. Pros and cons to register. I hate handling money. I've always hated handling money because anything that has anything to do with math that I have to think quickly, it instantaneously makes me stressed. And having it be money makes me even more stressed because somebody else's money. And if I screw it up, whether it's a discount or whether it's how much cash they're actually getting, then you have to, or you may possibly have to do a return, which you need another cashier to be involved in. So it's not only admitting you messed up, but it's also telling somebody else that you messed up. And then you're holding on basically like not only your queue line, but the other person that's helping you. And it's just, oh, I hated it. I hated it so much. Other than that, like when you weren't busy at register, you just stood in front of ours were little animal cages, and just chill. Oh, I forgot. One cool thing that you got to do at the circus is I got to learn how to embroider hats, which is another reason why I got to work at the hat shop on Main Street, because I knew how to embroider hats. That was something that's really cool. I've always liked the idea of getting to embroider hats, but like doing it yourself, it was just, I don't know, I just liked it. It just was another one of those creative aspects that I absolutely loved getting to do. I got to help people do gender reveals. I got to help people do, will you go to the prom with me? She said yes. I got to help college programmers embroidering their graduation ears. So many special memories and things that I got to help make. And the fact that I was the one that was typing it in, making sure it was angled and perfect, and then fixing, the little threads that were out, and then handing it to them made it really special for me. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about merchandise. I liked merchandise. I like the idea that you can work in different areas. You keep your merchandise skills like in the system for, I think it's 2 years. I just lost mine. I thought you kept them forever, or else I would have picked up a shift, but anyway, that's how it is now. So if you have any questions about Disney merchandise, ask me below. It's more or less the same everywhere, so ask away. And yeah, hit the like button, tell me what you liked about the video, hit subscribe for more videos about me. I don't typically post on this channel. I'm trying to do once a month, but my life has been a little crazy lately, so check out the Danny Diaries channel, and that's where I post a video pretty much every single day at this point, and just about my life as a cast member living in Florida. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!